Hello, everyone. Today, we're going to talk about a quiet but potentially huge crisis that hasn't caught much of the world's attention yet: China's slow invasion of Bhutan. While everyone's focused on Russia's overt invasion of Ukraine, China is steadily creeping into Bhutan, a small kingdom right on India's doorstep. Why is this important? Bhutan is a tiny nation sandwiched between China and India, but its strategic location is vital for India's security. If China takes control of Bhutan, it could threaten India's Siliguri Corridor, a vulnerable area for India's security. Let's dive into some details. China's interest in this small Himalayan kingdom isn't new. Over the past few years, China has been building roads, military installations, and other infrastructure in Bhutanese territory. This isn't just a border dispute, it's a direct encroachment on a sovereign nation's land. So, how is China doing this so quietly? Their strategy is slow but deliberate. Just like in the South China Sea, they start with small steps, and before you know it, the land is lost. We're seeing the same tactic in Bhutan. Now, let's go back to 2017. That year, China tried to build a road on Bhutan's Dolam Plateau, a sensitive area for India because it's so close to the Siliguri Corridor. The corridor is a narrow strip of land that connects India's northeast to the rest of the country. If this land falls into Chinese control, it poses a major threat to India, both militarily and economically. That's why India stepped in when Bhutan called for help, sending its troops to block the Chinese construction. The standoff between Indian and Chinese troops lasted for weeks. Fortunately, this 2017 crisis was resolved through negotiations before it escalated into armed conflict. But did China back down? Not really. In the years since, China has continued to push forward, quietly deploying soldiers and building roads in the border areas. So how did this issue escalate to this point? Let's take a quick look at the history. In the early 20th century, many of the borders in the Himalayas were not clearly defined. During the British Raj, the British attempted to establish these borders, but the mountainous areas between Bhutan and Tibet remained largely unsettled. When China annexed Tibet in 1950, they also inherited the border dispute with Bhutan. Bhutan, being a small kingdom, didn't have the capacity to stand up to China and had to rely on India. India, in turn, took Bhutan under its defense umbrella due to the strategic importance of the Siliguri Corridor. The fact that there are no formal diplomatic relations between Bhutan and China has made resolving the dispute even more complicated. In the meantime, it's fair to say that China has ramped up its activities in the Dolam Plateau again in 2024. China isn't just expanding its border, it's actively seeking to weaken India's military defense in the region. India, on its part, has deployed soldiers to the area, but tensions remain high. Now, let's take a closer look at the military and geopolitical implications. Why is the Siliguri Corridor so important? This narrow strip of land connects India's 7 northeastern states to the mainland. If this corridor is captured or blocked, these northeastern regions would be isolated and highly vulnerable. China has set its sights on this strategic area, and gaining control of the Dolam Plateau would put India's northeast at significant risk. So what could happen in the future? If China continues its expansionist policies, the border tensions between India and China could escalate into a more severe conflict. Both sides are building up their military presence in the area, and this situation could very well lead to a clash. Bhutan may be a small kingdom, but China's actions don't just affect Bhutan, they impact the entire region. India's fight to protect this territory is not only about defending Bhutan but also about safeguarding its own territorial integrity. If China continues with this strategy, it could have far-reaching geopolitical consequences, not just for Asia but for the entire world. In conclusion, this seemingly small crisis could spark a larger conflict. China's invasion of Bhutan threatens India's security, and the tension in the region is palpable. We'll be keeping a close eye on this situation. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to hit the like button and share your thoughts and questions in the comments below. See you in the next video.